This movie is for typography and for the use of InDesign. I'm going to review creating the biography template. So in InDesign, you have opened your InDesign, you're going to create a new document, and you're going to deselect facing pages because this is not a multiple page document like a book where the pages face each other. And letter size is going to give you 8.5 by 11. We'll review points and picas later. The number of columns, you're going to choose 3. And the gutter size, 1 pica 2. 1 pica 6 is a quarter of an inch, 0.25. And so this is just a little bit smaller than a quarter of an inch so that the gutters are not just really wide. And the gutter is the space between the columns. The margins are 3 picas. These are just fine, 3 picas. That's ½ an inch. So I'm going to click OK. And this gives us an automatic the margins and the automatic guides around the outside and automatic gutters because we set those settings ahead of time. Okay, in order to create text boxes, you're going to click on your text tool and you're going to click, hold, and drag, and your text box is going to snap to the actual margin itself, so you don't have to worry too much about the placement. I'll do it again. You could drag it and then it'll snap to the edge, or you could then fix it and have it snap right to that margin guide. Margin guides are pink and the gutter guides are purple. And so there's my first text box. I'm going to create a second text box. Okay, so now if I click on my pointer tool, I can click here. There's 1, there's 2. Now I'm going to click on the third text box, or create the third text box. Now I have 1, 2, and 3 text boxes. Now in order to make the text flow from 1 to 2 and then from 2 to 3, I'm going to click on the out port. This right here is the out port. I'm going to click on it and I get an icon that looks like text. I'm going to click over here and then that is a link symbol. It means it's going to link from left to right, so click right in the middle of your column. That way you don't accidentally have the text go anywhere else. Now we're going to click from this text box from the out port and click onto the third. So if I import some text, and I'm going to get some text though, let's see, stacks. Let's just say this is the text that I wanted to use. I'm going to copy that text. Now of course any text that you use in the biographies will have to be written by yourself, and you will have to then create citations. Citations will be on the file server. Citation examples will be on the file server for you. And so the text that you create you'll probably make in Microsoft Word, which is fantastic because it will edit your text, your spelling, and your grammar. And so I highly recommend using Microsoft Word. Then I have text in memory that I've copied. I'm going to place it, and now you can see that the text flowed from one place to the other. So if then I hit a return and I hit paste again, just so that you can see how it's flowing, and return and paste again, you can see that my text is flowing from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. So now we have text flowing from left to right into your document. I'm going to preview Invisibles, which is Command-Shift-I, and you see that there are lots of returns in this text, and it's not a good way to work. So I might have to find some more text as we go along. If we want to add a title, let's say that we wanted to bring all of our text down to about this height. Our rulers are currently visible. You could show or hide your rulers by hitting Command R. Command R will hide them, Command R will show them. So if I want to bring all of my text down to this height, let's just say that that's where I wanted it, I could click, hold, and drag the guide, drop it there, and then I could drag the text box down, each one, and match so that all my text starts at the same spot. Let's say I want to add a title. I'm going to click, hold, and drag a text box across the top, and this particular title was Document Stack. So in order to enlarge, you can Command Shift and then the period key. I like to call it the Command Shift greater than key because that tells me that it is getting larger. If you hit Command Shift less than, then it will, and that's the comma key, Command Shift less than key, it will get smaller. And it's going, as you can see here, if you watch it, it's going in two point increments. Okay, so I am enlarging it 2-point increments, or if you wanted to do Command Option Shift, it's going in 10-point increments. So I'm going to get it large. Well, let's reduce it. Make it as large as possible, and then I'm going to track in the text. When you are reducing or enlarging the amount of space between multiple words or characters, it's called tracking. I selected my text. I'm going to hold down the Option key and hit the left arrow. And let's see, that went to Paragraph panel. And so you can see that, let's see, that's not the Paragraph panel. I'm going to open the character palette, Command T, which shows us the actual, this is the tracking. This is the kerning, so that's between two characters. This is between words. You can see that the icon has been highlighted, so it's between all words that you select or letters that you select. And so that's -20. Maybe I could try, you want to use as little tracking as possible, so maybe I can enter -18 and see if I can fill the space without having to use such a large amount of tracking. -15, I'm still able to use that space there. And just so you realize, it's better to make your text box larger than you need, and then you can reduce the size when you're done, because this limits you. If you're working just in that small space, your text won't stretch out as it may need to. So -12, that still works. Let's try -10. Yeah, that way it goes all the way across, and I can move my text this way, move my guide about there so that all my text goes, I can match all the height of my text. Okay. I'm going to go and find some text that doesn't have so many returns. So, maybe on the file server, I'm going to connect to the servers so that my dxserve and my password, you guys can't see this. don't see them there. I need to get onto the file server. I'm just looking for some text.
Oh good, I'm not interrupting.
That's
I was
okay.
afraid you'd be recording.
You know I am, right? Well, you know what, Don? You're good timing. The class or whoever's listening knows that I'm looking for the digital art server, and I connected
It's
here. I already hit that.
oh, how weird. No, isn't that fascinating? I know how you can get to it through the back door. Yeah,
Well, I thought that this one would allow me,
it's supposed to.
and then I connected with mine. It won't.
Holy cow. Oh, wait a minute. It's already here. Digital media. Try that one. Oh, it's not
did
connecting at all.
Yeah, share screen and.
Oh boy. Wonder if Jeff's around. That'd be kind of handy if he was.
Well, let's see if I can on the web find some text. I just need some text. So we'll find some text, but you guys will be writing your own text. We'll discuss copyright law, make sure that you don't plagiarize. I'll look for some text on.
Actually, you can plagiarize all you want.
Yeah,
It's an educational institution, you have the right.
as long as they don't publish it as their own.
Then it gets a little dicey then. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Two of the same one. Odds of that happening. Obviously,
So I'll
very
get
high.
some information on polish share.
That really gotta be it. Surely. It isn't. Where's that? Pour that. Oh, man. This is gonna get a little more dicey.
I'm going to select all and delete that text. That looks much better. We don't want so many returns to make sure that it's set up properly. We're now going to talk about an indent. When you choose to use, I'm going to zoom in, which is Command plus. And then I get the hand tool by hitting the space bar. Right now these paragraphs have spaces, so paragraph spaces here. And if you'd wanted to do, instead of a paragraph space, I'm going to delete those and talk about spaces in a second, but first we'll follow through with an indent, and we're going to use an M space. An M space, because tabs are just too big, and it interrupts the moderate flow, nice flow of text that we want. So if you wanted to have an indent, you would put your cursor there after the return character. I have my show invisibles, which is under type, hide hidden characters, or show hidden characters, command option I. So that's why you can see this return symbol. That return symbol, after the return symbol, I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to add an M space, which is Command M, or you can go Insert white space M space. Oh, and it's Command Shift M. Okay, so what that does is it adds a blank space that's as wide as the point size of the type for 12-point type or whatever point type you have selected. Okay, so in that case you could add your indents everywhere. Command Shift M. And then right here, Command Shift M. And where else is there a return? That's a long paragraph. But let's zoom out. Command 0 is going to fit in Windows, so we have 3 long paragraphs. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's if you want to use an indent for a paragraph identification. We've discussed several types of paragraph identification, or we should have by now. And an indent is one, or you can do space after your paragraph return, which we're going to zoom in and do that right now. Let's just say that we want to use 12-point type, and we're using Times Regular. As you can see, the text is here and the font size is here. We always want to choose the amount of leading, so we don't want to choose, this is an automatic setting here because it's got a decimal, so I can tell it's automatic. A good rule of thumb for 12-point type is something about 15, 17, 18, might be too much. Let's try 12 on 16, and that's how you would say 12-point type on 16-point leading, because one is always listed above the other. Okay, so let's say we wanted a space after each paragraph return. We're going to delete the M spaces. Click delete, click delete, and I think that was the last one. Oh no, that was it. So what we're going to do is select all of the text and go to the space after character, and so that will be in the paragraph panel, and if you put the mouse or the pointer tool over this icon right here, it says space after. This is the space after field. So what we're going to do is click up to add some space after every paragraph. So this works for 1 page or 250 pages. As many pages you have in your document, you can click up and choose something about 1p5, 1p6 is a quarter of an inch. And maybe that's too much, so I can select all and hit maybe 1p2, which is good because that's what the gutter spaces are. Currently, all of our text is assigned left alignment. I can also select it and make it all right aligned right here, or I can make it, we don't want to make it centered. Left aligned, right aligned, or this is justified. Now, justified type you have to be really careful of because you can't really get a really good layout. Now this particular size, font, and leading is working well. With justified type you need to reduce the size of your type so that it works. You see here how you've got these huge spaces, and if I get rid of the invisible characters, you've got these big, what are called rivers. When you get to professional publication design, you want to make sure that you don't get those rivers. So I tend to select all. It's a very acceptable form of alignment is left alignment. It always flows nicely. If you want to hide your guidelines, Command colon shows or hides, Command colon shows or hides your guidelines, and you can also get rid of the blue outline of all text boxes under View, Show, or Hide Frame Edges. Okay, so you can then Command colon will get rid of the guidelines. So frame edges are blue outlines that show the frame like that. You don't want that constantly visible. So now you have 3 columns of text, you have a title, you have space after. Again, whenever you apply space after, you need to select all of the text. It allows you to modify. Let's just say that your art director said that they wanted to have a lot more space or a lot less space on the page. Then in that case you would have to reduce or add space. You could modify it by adding space to the space after, and all you would have to do is select all and go up to the space after icon and change it by, let's say they wanted you to take up some more space, you could go plus plus plus, and you could modify 250 pages all at once. Okay, so there's that. Good rule of thumb for some type sizes, I'll just write it here on the side, will be 10 on 15 or 12 on 16 or 11 on 14. These are some type sizes on lettering sizes that are good choices. These tend to work well. And serif type is the best choice for body copy when you have multiple columns of body copy, which is the text that you see here in front of you. And sans serif is not as easy to read, so use it for less body copy, or make sure that you add plenty of lettering so it's much more visible or legible. So you guys know Command Option I for invisibles, or you can also go to show hidden characters. I call them invisibles because that's what they were called in years past. Now it's hidden characters. And if you wanted to add color to the text just using the swatches that are currently available, you could use any of these swatches or make more swatches by loading swatches or creating new color swatches. So I'll be showing you how to use the Pantone swatches and create your own color swatches. In the meantime, we're going to use this palette. You can double click on the text and select color, and again you can double click on the text and get back to black. So that's how you would assign text color. And if you wanted to do a text wrap, let's just say that you had an image of Paula Scher, that one of her images here. This is how you would go about getting an image. It's not cooperating. Taking too long. We'll take that, and then you would Control click Save Image As on your desktop. It's called Noise Funk JPEG, and you would click Save, and voila, here it is on your desktop. And close the download window. So let's just say that we had, this is how you would import an image. We wanted to, I'm going to shift drag a circle, and it is a circle, you just can't see it now. I can import, file, place an image right into it because it's currently selected, and click on the desktop, and I'm going to look for Noise Funk, click open, and then now it's only showing part of it because I need to scoot it over. So I can click on my open arrow, or I can double click and it turns into the hand, which is the same thing as the arrows. You can see it's turned into the open arrow here. So I'm going to click, hold, and then drag the actual image. So I'm just going to take a partial selection of our beautiful image. Now when I've got the actual pointer tool, selection tool, and I want the text to wrap around it. I'm going to click on Window, Text Wrap, and you want to choose, this is when you don't want a text wrap, this is when you want a text wrap around a square image, and this is when you want a text wrap around a circular image. And then you can choose how much you want, again in points. So we're going to go 1 point, 2 point. What you're trying to do is choose how much of a distance between the actual image, how much white space you want between the image and the text. So it's going to jump away from the image. So you want to add a certain amount, maybe 10 points, something like that would be good. But you can play with it to try to get the effect that you want. So text wrap is in the window tool. So it could just a second.
Hi. Okay. I'm gonna miss a day because I'm gonna be around. Did I scrub your video? Okay. Are you recording? And I'm not.
You're in it. You're
You look good. I'm gonna miss a day.
yeah.
You take a personal day. Can they come in and use the lab during that time? Like if Jeff's here?
If there is another teacher, if someone's here, yes,
Okay.
to make arrangements.
Because I told them I'm doing this even in my midterm, that's all off the AIGA's website. So they've got to come in and do all this, like answer all this stuff. So I said the lab is not going to be available for that week, and I've adjusted accordingly to it. Because you need to have a teacher, which is what I told them. Are you sure? I said, you know what, I'll go back and I'll try to I'll confirm or deny this.
Yeah, you do. So if you can find out, like, what is it your regular time?
It's my
there
regular
on
time,
Wednesday?
yeah.
Why don't you leave me a note? You know what, I'm usually in the office working from 12 to 5.
Oh.
I try. Sometimes it's 1 to 5, sometimes it's 2 to 5. But just let me know what day, because then I can forcefully leave my children and come here and work.
Do you want me to email you?
Yeah, email me, I'll put it on
Okay.
my calendar.
Do you want me to pay you?
No, that's fine. I just open the door.
Oh, okay. That would be great. All right.
I'll open the door and then I'll be over here
Can I
while
just tell you what day it is? I know what day I'm going.
Yeah.
Because Angela, you married 13, 23 days.
Crazy thing.
I think
I don't sleep in my pocket.
Oh no, I hear you. I'll tell you when. The 21st of October. And I'll email you, but I just want to also tell you. I think my classes from 5 to 5.
Oh, sure. That works for me. That works for me.
And then I'll tell Linda, she's our new secretary over our Meets office. So I'll tell her that I'm taking a personal day, but I'll tell my students that the labs will be here for use, there won't be anyone to help them. If they'll want their own bed, they'll just want to come and work.
You tell Linda that you're taking a person today, but I will do lab with students.
Exactly.
You don't need to tell her that I'm opening a lab with students. I'm doing that on my time.
That's just, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because I'm here as a teacher, but it's my time.
Excellent. Okay. I will tell her.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll remind you.
Okay, a few more minutes. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So now you know how to add an image and a text wrap. Now let's try to add the image just in a regular manner. Command 0 will fit in window. Oops, don't want to do that. Now I want to place just the image. Most of you will just go File, Place, choose Noise Font, and it just ends up right there or right here. Okay, so again you have your Move tool, Selection tool, and you possibly want to put it into your artwork. So you can, what I would do is show all of your guides. That's kind of cool. You can show it twice, one close-up and one smaller version. So you can Shift, let's see, undo. Command Shift, reduce the size of your image. Command Shift. So you have to hold down Command and Shift and drag down. What you're trying to do is constrain. Shift constrains your image. So now it fits perfectly. You want your image to either fit within this section here. That's what your guides are for. Or you want your image, it's no accident that this is what newspapers look like, or this is what professional publications look like. It's because they also have margins and guides. So you can also try to fit your artwork into 2 spaces if you like, and have everything work around it. But you want your artwork to fit within the margin area. And then I'm going to close up the outer edge, which is just the box itself. It's not the image. So I don't know how I want to put this, but let's reduce it. Command Shift, drag down so that I can put it here. Close this up a little bit. And then I'm going to bring that to the front, and because I'm not using any layers, this is all in the same layer, I'm going to hit Command, right bracket. That's going to bring it to the front. I was looking to see if I wanted to add a drop shadow to that. It's not in effects. Just forget where it is. If you can't find something, you can always go to Help, type in drop shadow. This is what I would do if you asked me. It's going to be in a menu. So I'm going to click on the image. I'm going to go to Edit. It looked like it was in Effects and Drop Shadow, but let's go back and see what it said. Thought I had it right. Menu items, effects, drop shadow. Return. It's showing me, duh. Here you see, it's object, effects, drop shadow. Option, command M. So here, Option, Command M, and I'm going to add a drop shadow, make sure it's blue, multiply, click OK. It's a little bit dark, I don't like them too dark. And I'm going to change the rotational. So I'm going to undo that and then do again Command Option M and rotate the direction. Preview. That'd be better. So you can preview. I'd like it to show up a little more, and I want it to be less dark. The opacity is too strong. That looks better, and it's probably a little there. It's a little less. It's not so large. It should be very sophisticated, refined, not so large and dark. There. Now we have 2 elements telling your story, and we're going to change this to P-A-U-L-A. Oops. Turn that off. Put that on vibrate. Okay, polish share, and let's enlarge that. Command Shift plus, it's 2-point increments, remember that? Oops, and I didn't make my text box large enough, so I'm going to make it really large. And I'm going to hit Option left arrow. which is going to, in the text, in the character palette, you can see it's got -30. So by hitting Option left arrow, each time I hit it, you can watch it here, it's going to go one more. I went 20 points, and that's getting a little tight. So by kerning or tracking it, I can Command Shift greater than, or Command Shift period. It's getting a little bit larger. I like that better. So as a design element, I'm going to see how much yellow there is here. If you can repeat, let's see, Command colon is going to hide all my guides. If you can repeat any element within your design several times, like this yellow, it's everywhere, and some red, so you could choose to use it somewhere, perhaps maybe at the end of the line. I mean, I could create a line. I'm going to use my guides, Command colon, use, I'm going to hold down the Shift key so it constrains it, and I'm going to use stroke. Let's make it a 2-point line, and I'm going to apply yellow. Let's see if it's Command. Oh, it's black right now. Let's see. And I'm going to get rid of that stroke. I guess I want my fill to be yellow, but I want it to be 2 points wide. And it's yellow, but yet it doesn't show up very much, so I know this yellow, let's make it wider. That's an idea, not necessarily the best one, but you might want to repeat anything that you see as a design element. For instance, so much yellow, so you're repeating yellow. Command colon showed me the guides. I'll bring that up just a hair. And bring that back down because I didn't want to use it. Didn't really. And so this repetition is a good design element. It's repetitive in more than one spot. Yellow, yellow, yellow. So there you have it. Your layout can have 2 fonts only. So let's write out some of these rules, and we'll end this video. 2 fonts only. One is the body copy, and the other is a contrast font. So you can, in order to create contrast, you need to add a byline. You will always need a byline here at the bottom, something that says by Angela Gomez. It's my maiden name, so I'll just sneak that in there. You want to line it up on the right hand side, or you can, let's see, I'm going to close up this text here, about to there. So I clicked on the text box, which was still down here, and I'm going to click up to here, and I'm going to add this text box. And I'm going to click it with the right arrow, click it all the way over to where your byline should be the same size and font or smaller. Never larger than your actual text, because you're not as important as the text or the subject. Okay, so let's say that just ended in the right spot, and I'm going to put a guideline so that I can make my text end in the same space. I'm going to click this window and close it up. And let's just say it ended all in the right spot. Okay. We're going to close this box a little bit. And maybe we'll move this guideline down a little bit so that all my text can start a little bit lower. It's just a little too tight. Bring this there. Now I can open it out a little bit. There. Tuck this up a little higher. Now, something else that you're looking for, that I'm looking for, it's always to have the same amount of space here. Visually, maybe not completely measured. All the gutters and spaces should be all similar. Okay, so a drop cap. If you needed to do a drop cap, you'd put your cursor there, and you would go to Type, not remembering what we did it last week. Window, Type in Tables, Tools. Oh, it's on the panel. Very, very simply. Here. It looks like a drop cap, doesn't it? If you hover over it, you can click 1, 2, 3, and each number refers to how many lines tall you want it. Okay, so that's a drop cap. And modify your text box. You know how to modify your text box, and adding citations. Citation samples are on the file server in the digital arts. So we referred to margins already, gutters. We added images. We added a drop cap, a text wrap, a byline, kerning or tracking. You know what? We didn't do kerning. We did tracking. Kerning would select all and do option left arrow or right arrow. And when you look at your character palette, you can see kerning, tracking is here and kerning is here. So you could click, let's say where somewhere we needed to fix, maybe the P and the A, and you could add a little bit of kerning and add or subtract a little kerning there. Kerning, like a little kernel, is kerning the space between just two characters, and tracking is tracking out and tracking in text, multiple words, multiple letters. So that's kerning and tracking, and they're visible here in the character palette. Okay. You're going to use a serif font for this first project. You know what an M space is. You know how to use a space after. And hanging punctuation. If you had a, well, you wouldn't have a quote there. I think we're going to save that for another video. Okay, so 2 fonts only, and you're good to go. Let's see, go back to here.